Is former Tennessee quarterback and current quarterback at UCLA, Nico Iamaleava, re-entering the transfer portal following the firing of head coach Deshaun Foster? And by the way, would he go back to Tennessee? Where is he going? Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, hit that free subscribe button down below. That way, you'll never miss a single episode. We're here every day. And if you could share, follow, and like, that would help us as well. Do you know you can hype YouTube videos too? Meanwhile, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. So, is Nico on the move? Plus, we have the Spartans and Trojans. Nice little logo helmet matchup this weekend. And our Big Ten Classics. We'll get to all that in due time. But now that UCLA has fired Coach Deshaun Foster 3 games into the season, all eyes are on quarterback Nico Iamaleava. Will he stay or will he go? Again, one report even suggested that he would return to Tennessee, where his college football journey began, and we'll separate fact from fiction in just a moment. But it was just last spring that Nico was the story in all of college football, right? We talked about it all summer long. His attempt to transfer out of Tennessee, he eventually did. He landed at UCLA, but look, it was a pretty enthralling soap opera for most of the summer, and the stories kept changing along the way. So we can go back to last season and that playoff game between Tennessee and Ohio State. Nico and some of his teammates, they wanted more money for the playoff game. They're like, look, we got name, image, and likeness. It's for the regular season. The regular season is over. Playoffs are extra games. We're putting our body at risk more for the school. We want more money. We want to redo our name, image, and likeness deals. So that was what was going on there. They ultimately decided to go and play the game, but they almost didn't, from what we hear. Fast forward to spring ball. Nico is reportedly still looking for more money. He said, hey, Carson Beck just got $4 million to leave Georgia and go to Miami. So that's the quarterback market. I'm not making $4 million. I want $4 million. So Nico and or his family, who seemed to be getting advice from, decided that $4 million was the new market value for quarterbacks. And he says, well, I just led my team to the playoffs, so I'm worth this. So let's go. And then all of a sudden, Nico didn't show up to practice at the end, nearing the end of spring ball, just ahead of the spring game. And he said, look, man, I want a new deal. I'm not going to play in the spring game until we get this done. You guys have been dragging me along for a few months. I've told you I want a new deal. I want more name, image, and likeness money. I don't have it yet. I'm not playing. In essence, we had our first ever college football contract holdout. See it in the NFL all the time. Now we're seeing it in college. Except again, Nico and his family overplayed their hand. Coach Josh Heupel, he was old school. He wasn't having any of it. And within 24 hours, Nico was gone. No longer on the team. Yeah, they said it was mutual, but it wasn't. So that's when the Iamaleava story started to change. All right, it wasn't about money anymore. I mean, this family, they needed PR 101. They failed at it. Suddenly it wasn't about the money. Now it was about the offense. Nico wanted to go to a school with better players around him. Mind you, he was on a team that made it to the playoffs. They weren't that bad. So surely he's going to go to a team that's just loaded with offense, right? Well, we saw how that all played out. Actually, there were only about 2 teams that were interested in his services. One was Tulane. The other one was UCLA. Tulane is a nice mid-level program. Certainly, they would not have the same amount of name, image, and likeness money that Nico and his family were claiming to want. And then UCLA was a team that they needed a spark, man. They needed something. Year 2 of Deshaun Foster was coming up. They needed a nice athletic quarterback. If they could get it, they would try and find a way to scrape together a little bit of money and get him out there. But UCLA did not have better players than Tennessee, not even close. So the story changed again. No, it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about the offense and being around talented players. This would be about Nico coming home. He's from Southern California. This is a homecoming event. This is all about family. And so UCLA got their quarterback. But sadly, nothing worked out. Nico was always under duress behind that offensive line. The Bruins lost their first 3 games this year. The last 2 to UNLV and New Mexico were absolutely embarrassing, and it led to Foster's firing. So what's next for Nico and his teammates? Remember, don't forget, the transfer portal opens back up right now because the coach left. The winter one, the spring one, which, by the way, they just got rid of today. We'll talk about that more in tomorrow's podcast. And then you got 30 days effective immediately if your coach should ever leave, be fired, take a new job. That's open again right now. The portal is open for all the UCLA players. Whoever wants to jump in, they can do it. And remember, you can play up to 4 games and not lose your season of eligibility. You can still redshirt. They've only played 3 games. This weekend against Northwestern's week 4. So between now and the end of next week, players could go, you know what? I've only played 4 games. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to preserve my redshirt year here, preserve my eligibility, and I'm going to explore my options. That could happen. Look, we saw this happen after the Mel Tucker firing a couple of seasons ago, a couple games into the season, just a couple seasons ago at Michigan State. And some players did leave right there in the middle of the season. So what will Nico do here? Look, I don't think he's going to sit out the rest of this season, although he might. But I do think he will hit the transfer portal in December. I think there's almost no doubt in my mind whatsoever. Again, UCLA is going to be in the middle of another complete rebuild, and he doesn't want to be part of that if he has any kind of NFL aspirations in his mind. Writer Nick Roush suggested that Nico return to Tennessee. He says, look, man, time heals all wounds. He'll come back. Everything's fine. By the way, Roush is a Kentucky guy, so he's got SEC ties, but maybe that was more of a sarcastic comment about him going to Tennessee. I'm really not sure. I don't know the guy. So I don't know if we'll take that seriously or not. And I will tell you, I'll give you my opinion. There's no way in heck Nico's ever going back to Tennessee. That bridge is burnt on both sides. Not happening. And the irony of all of this, when you think about it, is that UCLA had quarterback Joey Aguilar in camp ready to go. He had just transferred in from App State. But then once Nico arrived with all the money and the fanfare, he saw the writing on the wall and he got out of there. And he ended up at Tennessee replacing Nico. And it looks like Aguilar is the better quarterback. He just torched a Georgia defense for 371 yards and 4 touchdowns last weekend. In fact, he already has 9 touchdown passes in 3 games this year. Guy looks pretty good. So where will Nico go? Next year, some schools will probably be looking for quarterbacks. Miami, Texas Tech, they got a lot of money. Colorado, Coach Deion's always shuffling. Honestly, I don't know. So Nico's market was severely diminished over the last 6 months. He's not the hot item anymore. But also, he entered the portal at a time in the spring when most teams were all set at quarterback for 2025, and that made for a smaller market. So if he hits the portal now or in December, they'll get a fresh start on a new quarterback market, and somebody somewhere is always looking for a new starting quarterback. Anyway, thoughts, comments, hit me up on them. Would love to hear from you on this one. Also, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode of Locked On Big Ten. And if you could also share, follow, and like, that does us a big favor as well. Don't forget, we have a website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there. If you want to go back after this one, check out yesterday's in case you missed it. And also, we have Big Ten gear there. You're a UCLA fan, you want some shirts, t-shirts, hats, all that stuff right there. Go get it, talkbig10.com. So I think a very underrated game this weekend around the Big Ten is the Michigan State Spartans at the USC Trojans. And I want to talk about that because I think it's a very important game for both sides, but particularly for Michigan State, and I will tell you why. Plus, we have our Big Ten Classics coming up right around the corner, right here on Locked On Big Ten. It is almost the weekend, and it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. So let's break it down. We're going to give a shout out to Indiana's Omar Cooper Jr. Had career highs across the board, 10 catches, 207 yards, and 4 touchdowns against Indiana State. He delivered, no hesitation. He came through. And just like Omar Cooper delivered for Indiana, DoorDash delivers for your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday that you order. Stack them all up. Start stacking up Saturdays. And you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day. Only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. You know what makes watching games exciting? Well, we're fans. We're passionate. That's exciting. But you add a little something with FanDuel, get a little something on the games, it's even more exciting. Since NFL season is here, FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for kickoff with this can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. The app is very easy to use. You can find point spreads, game totals, props, futures. You can parlay stuff all together. It's quick and it's easy. The paybacks are quick as well. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten and making us your first listen each and every day. Hit that subscribe button, share, follow, download. You got it all. Just don't forget our website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts go. Plus, you get school merchandise there. All right, there's something I want to jump into. We got a lot of big games this weekend in the Big Ten, and I think one that's a little bit under the radar is a battle of 2 3-0 teams with Michigan State traveling to USC. And it's gonna be under the lights. It's gonna be a West Coast game. There might be some people on the East Coast that don't see it. It's 11 o'clock Eastern. 8 p.m. Pacific. We don't want those West Coast games. So, and by the way, great mascot and helmet logo, right? Spartans versus Trojans. Can't beat that. That's awesome. But on a more serious note, let's talk about this game because, first of all, I think it's huge for Jonathan Smith and Michigan State. And he's returning to the West Coast. Remember, he was at Oregon State before he took the job in East Lansing. And this is going to be his chance to prove that his program has finally turned a page from the nasty Mel Tucker era. That's the reason he got this job. It opened up then after the whole Mel Tucker saga, and when he was dismissed from the program. So he's got back-to-back 3-0 starts now in his first 2 years there. Another 3-0 starts. That's pretty nice for Smith. Going 4-0 with a win at USC would be something else. And they would put some wind behind the sails of this program a little bit and would prove that the Michigan State program has turned a corner from the Mel Tucker era. I mean, they kind of started from ground zero after he left. Things were a mess. And he's just kind of been the nose to the grindstone, just out there recruiting and trying to build slow and steady. And I think he's doing a good job there. But a win at USC would certainly get a lot of people's attention. Now, it's not going to be easy, because Lincoln Riley is also looking for a little wind at his back in year 4 of his program at USC. And they finished a disappointing 7-6 last year. Now, this year, things look pretty promising, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Things always look promising on the offensive side of the ball for USC. The Trojans have the number 1 offense in the country. They're averaging 604 yards a game. My goodness. They're second in scoring at 55 points a game. Of course, they had 73 in their opener. And they've already got a Big Ten win notched into their belt already. Remember, last week on the road at Purdue, got the win there. Trojan quarterback Jade Maeva, he's completed 69% of his passes for 989 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's run for a couple more touchdowns as well. And his favorite weapon has been Mekhi Lemon, who has 16 catches for 311 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's somebody that Michigan State is going to have to keep an eye on. They also have a very balanced running attack at USC with 3 running backs totaling more than 150 yards already on the ground in their first 3 games. So while Maeva is doing a great job of leading the Trojans offense, I just want to talk to you about the improvement and the improvement arc of Michigan State's quarterback, Aiden Childs. If you compare his first 3 games last year versus his first 3 games this year, it's day and night. Last year, after 3 games, he was only completing 55% of his passes. So far this year, 72%. Last year at this time, he had 569 yards. He's got 655 already passing. This time last year, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. This year, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception on a tip ball. Last year at this time, he had 47 yards rushing. This year, 123. So he's triple that. He's just got more comfortable. He's got his head on his shoulders. He knows what's going on. And he's improving day and night. I still got to give them a lot of credit for that win against Boston College a couple of weekends ago. I thought that was very impressive. Now, here's the problem for Michigan State. He might not have a lot of help with him here this weekend out at Southern California. Right guard Luka Vincic, he's got a leg injury. Looks like he's going to be out for the year. Hurt himself last week at Youngstown State. Star wide receiver Nick Marsh. We saw him last week. He was getting on a roll in the first half. All of a sudden, he had his leg wrapped up, ice and wrapped up and all that on the sideline. He never returned to the sideline in the second half. He is questionable. Leading rusher Mekhi Frazier is questionable. He's got a leg injury that he suffered on Saturday as well. So we'll see. There may be also a brief distraction that Michigan State may have to deal with here as well because of CBS. CBS threw Jonathan Smith's name into the UCLA job hunt conversation. Said, yeah, he'd be a candidate. He said, look, he's from Pasadena. His Oregon State experience leaves him with some West Coast recruiting connections, and he'd be a fabulous candidate. He's going to have to answer questions about that. I'm sure it'll be a question. He'll just say no, and it'll probably be the end of it for a while. The Spartans also host UCLA in a couple of weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised if the chatter ratchets back up for a little bit before it calms back down. Look, at most, here's what I think is going to happen. I think there will be some talk. I think Smith, if he has a decent year this year, he'll just turn any UCLA interest, whether it be real or imagined, into leverage for more money. That's what coaches do. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's got a nice foundation going at Michigan State. I don't think he's looking to go. And I don't know if UCLA is the right job for him or a lot of coaches at this time, the way things are. But before that UCLA game against the Spartans, remember the Spartans stay on the road. They got a tough game against Nebraska as well. That game will be a good measuring stick as well to see where Jonathan Smith's program is to date, in addition to taking on the Trojans this weekend. See if they've really turned the corner there. And by the way, that's not even the hard part because Michigan State still has Indiana and Penn State on the schedule, 2 playoff teams from last year. Meanwhile, Lincoln Riley and his Trojans, they're in the thick of it after this week. Their schedule really steps it up. They got number 9 Illinois next week. That's followed by a home game against number 21 Michigan after a bye. And then they're off to Notre Dame for that big one. It's always a big one on the schedule. They're also at Nebraska for their blackout game in Nebraska November 1st. And then they have a game at Oregon. There's a lot of tough games left on the USC schedule. So this weekend's important for both sides, no question. So got some other news for the Trojans. It's not great. Cornerback Chasen Johnson, he transferred in from Central Florida, suffered a knee injury, going to be out for the rest of the season. And he's the Trojans' 3rd defensive back that's been injured this fall. In fact, USC has started 4 different corners in 3 games. That's not good. Maybe a bit of a weakness to keep an eye on there. All right, so we got all this going on here with the Trojans and the Spartans, and we're looking forward to this game. We're going to tell you later on what we're going to do this weekend regarding our live broadcast, and we have our Big Ten Classics coming up. Every day we have a feature. Mondays, we do our Big Ten Top 10 observations. Tuesdays, we do our Tuesday tweets from you guys at Twitter. Wednesdays, we power rank stuff. Usually in the football season, the conference football, 1 through 18. Thursdays, we look ahead at the Big Ten Network. We look at their Big Ten Classics and also any live programming, live games, kickoff times. All that's coming up. And then tomorrow, every Friday, we do our pigskin picks. We go on the record. We pick the games. So all that's coming up in just 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Mazda. They craft cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out from everybody else. They go beyond safety and style and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. They've got safety. They pay attention to detail like athletes between their metallic accents and hand-stitched Napa leather. And you feel it the minute you're behind the wheel, just precision, intuitive controls, just where they're supposed to be. Whether it's a quick drive to practice or a weekend road trip, Mazda makes even everyday drives seem special. So it's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, here's what we're going to do. We've got their Big Ten Classics on the Big Ten Network. I want to highlight, plus some live actions when they're live this weekend. We'll put it full screen here so that you can check it out. We are going to pick it up. All these times are Eastern that are on the screen. If you're audio only on Apple or Spotify, no problem. Thanks for joining us, and I'll just describe it in detail what we have. But we'll start off Friday the 19th at 11 a.m. Eastern. So this will be 8 o'clock Pacific. They got a Michigan State football classic, the old Rose Bowl, Michigan State versus USC. Big Ten Network's great about doing this. Anytime a team has a matchup, they'll pick up some of their old games from yesteryear and air those, and they're going to do that. So this is the Rose Bowl, the old Big Ten versus Pac-12. Actually, this is Big Ten versus Pac-10. 1988, Michigan State versus USC. That was where Lorenzo White, the All-American running back, had 35 carries, 113 yards. And that was by the start of the fourth quarter to help the Spartans defeat the Trojans 20-17 in Pasadena. At 1 o'clock Eastern on Friday, we have a Washington football classic. Washington State at Washington from 2 years ago. The Apple Cup, Marcus Mariota throwing a 12-yard touchdown pass to Josh Huff in 29 seconds remaining. They'll lift the that's the Ducks. That's a misprint on their part on their schedule. I pulled it right off. That's the Ducks game against Washington. The Ducks won that one 36-35. So sorry about that mistake there. Then at 2 o'clock, we've got another Oregon football classic. So back-to-back Oregon football classics. And this is one where Marcus Mariota threw the 12-yard touchdown pass again to Josh Huff, the one I was describing just a moment ago, to lift the 12th ranked Ducks to that 36-35 victory. There you go. That's what we have. So, all right. So I just figured out my mistake here. So 1 o'clock is the Washington Football Classic, Washington State of Washington from 2023. Then at 2 o'clock, it's the Oregon Football Classic, Oregon State at Oregon, where Marcus Mariota shines. All right. Now I'm glad we got that covered. Apologize for a mistake there. Saturday on the 20th at 12 o'clock Eastern, we got one of those Big Ten football in 60s, the Iowa at Rutgers game from last week. And that's a snap-to-snap coverage of the Big Ten football game, of course. Then there was the Big Ten tailgate show. It will air at is that from Oregon? Yeah, from Oregon. They're going to do the Big Ten kickoff show there. Then their countdown to kickoff. Then they go to Oregon State at Oregon at 3 o'clock. And I'll jump ahead to later in the day because, believe it or not, that's the only football game they have on their entire schedule. So they go to volleyball at 9 o'clock, Arizona at Nebraska. Nebraska volleyball, it's huge. It's huge. Then on Sunday, let's flip the script here and see what we got on Sunday, in case you're bouncing back and forth between the NFL and college football. At 10 a.m. Eastern, they'll air the final drive. That's all the highlights. This show runs late Saturday, repeatedly Sunday, all the highlights from all the games in the Big Ten. At 11 a.m. Eastern, they'll do the Big Ten football in 60 snap-to-snap highlight between Michigan and Nebraska from Saturday. At 12, another Big Ten football in 60, Iowa at Rutgers. And then they've got Maryland at Wisconsin. That's at 8 o'clock, the highlights from that. At 10 o'clock, they got Illinois at Indiana, the highlights from that. And at 11 o'clock, they got the Big Ten football in 60, Michigan State at USC. So there you have it. Pretty good. All right, I think I just figured out. I'm going to go back to Saturday because I think I got one thing wrong, and I want to get this right. So they got 2 games on Saturday. I think no, I think I got that right. All right, I think we're good to go. Sorry for the delay. We got everything covered here at our Big Ten Classics and live action from the weekend, and you can check all of that out here on the Big Ten Network. We got you covered. Now, I want to tell you what we're going to do over the weekend as I get things back on full screen there. We are going to go live on Saturday. We always go live after a big game on Saturday, and we're going to pick 2 of them. It is our first ever doubleheader where we will go live. We're going to go live after the Michigan at Nebraska game. That's at 3:30. So around 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, we're going to go live. And I get your immediate real-time live comments, and you get my immediate reaction after the game. And then after that game is over and that podcast is over, then we're going to go watch that Illinois-Indiana game, top 20 matchup with playoff implications. And as soon as that is over, probably around 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific, we're going to go live again. So we're going to go live twice on Saturday. So check it out. We're with you all day long. You can check all that out. We're really looking forward to it. A lot of excitement there. So feel free to check us out. Give us your comments on there. In the meantime, there's many ways for you to interact with this podcast. Of course, we're on Twitter at Talk Big Ten. Our website, talkbig10.com. Podcasts and merchandise are there. Before you go, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a single episode. And also, if you could share, follow it, like Locked On Big Ten, that would be awesome as well. Also want to remind you that this is a really big deal for Locked On. All you college football fans out there, Locked On and Fire TV present the College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12, he leads the conversation along with 2-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, and also former college star Jesse Holley, and all of our Locked On experts, all previewing all the games coming up. It's a college football preview that only Locked On can do. So check it out. Catch the College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. That'll do it for us. Tomorrow, our Pigskin Picks preview for all the Big Ten teams. We're looking forward to that. Join us. See how we pick your team to do this weekend. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll see you tomorrow.